Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Game Changers Experience live show here with myself, Adam Strong. And today's video, or depending on when you're listening to this, whether you'll be listening to us live, use the hashtag live, use the hashtag replay, or if you listen to this on the podcast, of course, and if you haven't had the opportunity to listen to the podcast, go to the Game Changers Experience, which is over on Apple, Amazon Music, Spotify, Google, and all the other great platforms around the world as well. Interesting today, I wanted to really talk about how to really kind of like start your day with clarity and focus, because it's interesting. So I've had some really interesting conversations over the last couple of weeks. And even though that a lot of people have a lot of great intention in terms of like, getting out the starting blocks and being able to like, just go, right? But sometimes that kind of like, I suppose that feeling of excitement can really kind of like, number one, it can overwhelm us, but number two, it can also give us this lack of this confusion, if you like. And so it's important that we set the day up not only with the right frame of mind, but also to make sure that you've got yourself, all your ducks in a row with regards to the clarity and focus of not just yourself as a person, but also like, how do you kind of like really get the most out of your day? Does that make sense? So I hope that kind of like gives you some context about today. So as I mentioned to you guys, if you are listening to me live, use the hashtag live or use the hashtag replay. That'd be super awesome. And do me a favor, give us a like, share, or comment in the comment section below. If you're listening to me over on YouTube, on LinkedIn, in particular, there is a bell notification on the top right-hand corner. Oh, there we go. Top right-hand corner. If you click on that bell notification, every time that I go live, put some content out, you'll get a notification so that you're not able to miss out on any of the big opportunities and some of the content I'm creating on a regular basis. And I'm on here a lot, right? So I wouldn't want you guys to miss out on anything like that. But for you guys that are listening to me live, do me a favor. If you are listening to me live, please do, please say hi, hello, or whatever it is. I love to engage with people, especially at this, engagement is just great. I love it, reaching out to people. If you're listening to this on the podcast, of course, put all the podcast notes below. And if there's something that resonates with you, okay, there's something that resonates with you, please do me a favor, drop me an email, hello@adamstrong.net, hello@adamstrong.net, because I'd love to hear from you. We're always looking at ways in which we can find improvements, but also if there is a particular topic or there's something that's bugging you or you got a chip on your shoulder or something that you need some help with, right? Again, reach out, because again, I love to help people, but in order to help you, I'm not a mind reader, right? So I'd love to help. I'd love to learn from you guys and learn about that. Anyway, let's get into today's conversations, because I think it's important to talk about today's conversation. So how do we start the day with clarity and focus? Because again, if you're like me, I'm a family man. I've got kids. I travel a lot. I've got business responsibilities. Like there's a lot on my plate, right? Generally, if you live in my world, you probably think to yourself, how do I get all of that done, right? So, and I think from experience, one of the things that I learned is not to kind of like get too overwhelmed with everything, because we're only human at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to kind of share with you guys about the things that work well for me, either that's worked well for me in the past, but also in the present as well. Some of the things I practice more than I used to. Others I don't practice as much of. It doesn't mean that it's good or it's bad. However, it will really, again, help create some sort of like routine, framework, whatever you want to call it, in able to help you create clarity. Now, interesting enough, and clarity to me is about being able to have like such clear intention in your mind about what you actually want to achieve, whether it be in your personal or your business life. But in this context, we're going to be talking about your business, right? About how to achieve that clarity. What are the things that we need to have in place in order to create these breakthroughs? And I feel like, sometimes it can take months, if not years, to create a breakthrough with regards to, being able to achieve that clarity and that kind of simplicity, if you like. Does that make sense? So these are the things that I feel like really work for me, and hopefully it'll give you some tips and advice about how you can achieve your own clarity in your own life as well. So the first thing really that I think that one of the first things that works for me is when I wake up in the morning. Now, obviously my daily routine it might be very similar to you, but it also might be very different from the way that you operate. And there's no right or wrong. I wanted to just kind of share that with you. There's no right or wrong. And so I feel like again, it depends on how you're wired. Like for me, I like to see myself as a morning person, so I'm most productive. I say that I get most of my shit done generally early on in the day. Then I feel like I can relax. Do you know what I mean? Like a little bit later on. But again, it depends on what my day looks like, right? So I think it depends on you as a person. Like, are you generally that, hard hitting? For me, I'm not like a big fan of the whole kind of 5 a.m. club. I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt type thing. But if it works for you, then great, fantastic. It's got to work for you at the end of the day. So one of the, I suppose, daily habits that I feel works really well, that really sets you up for the day, and is really creating affirmations, right? So I've actually got my book here. Okay, so this is like my big black book. I know it's got a few papers here and there or whatever it might be. So this is my black book, and it's got like my goals that I want to achieve on a daily basis, the thing that my wins, if I've got podcast interviews and things like that. But at the front of the book, I've actually created a series of affirmations here. And what I tend to do with these affirmations now, religiously, I'll be honest with you, I don't read them out every single day, not because I don't want to. It's purely because I feel like, again, it all goes back to, is my mind clear? Is my mind healthy? Does that make sense? Now, in your case, if you don't have your own affirmations, right? That's a really good starting block, right? Create your own affirmations. But as you start to create those affirmations, and you might only put down I wouldn't recommend any more than 10, right? So ideally between 3 and 10 affirmations is great. So something that's gonna stick in your subconscious mind, and then after a period of time, you're gonna memorize what you've written down in terms of your affirmations, right? So your affirmations really need to be about your core values, how you see yourself in the world. Maybe what do you want to achieve, right? What's your impact? What is the vision in moving forwards and things like that. So I was going to say, so for example, like some of my core values I've written down on here as one of my affirmations was, I'm focused, disciplined, and results driven, because that's who I am, right? That's the way that I'm wired. But I'd like those constant reminders that, I am who I am, and I'm not going to change for anybody, right? So that I just wanted to put that out there, right? Another one, I'm healthy, lean, and vibrant, and I love and take care of my being. That's not always the case for me, by the way. I just wanted to share that, but it's important to me, right? So that's really, really important. So if you haven't already created these affirmations, what I would endorse you to do is to create your own affirmations, right? And then start to read them on a daily basis. And as you start to read them on a daily basis, they start to stick into your subconscious mind. Do you know what I mean? And you start to believe in it. Your belief systems go up astronomically, quite astronomically and stuff like that. So I wanted to that's for me, that's like the first steps in order to get step. The second one, which I believe is a good one as well. And again, it doesn't work for everybody, but I feel like one of the ways, and I don't do this in the morning. I normally do this ad hoc, generally, will be toward the end of the day, but journaling. And journaling is great because what that does is it helps me to improve my self-awareness. Like, how am I feeling? Why am I feeling what I'm feeling? And it creates this, again, the more aware that we are in terms of our being, the more that we can show up for others without feeling as if we need to judge ourselves against other people. Does that make sense? So, so journaling, I feel like, is really, really important. You've got, now for me, I don't do much reading. I use other content that I soak in. So one of the things that I do to, I suppose, create those healthy habits is through podcasting. And, I was doing a great interview with a lady from the US yesterday. We just had some great conversations, but I learned so much from her. Like, literally, like, for me, it's like podcasting to me is like, learning on steroids. Do you know what I mean? That's how it kind of feels to me. And then obviously you've got things like yoga and meditation, if that works for you. Great way to clear the mind, but also a great way to start the intention. It only has to be like 10 minutes. So even stretching, just getting oxygen into the bloodstream is really going to help set up your day. So that's the first thing. Secondly, gratitude and appreciation. So, who is it that you appreciate? Who is it that has helped you along the journey, right? So, and again, when you look at it from a back step, when you look at it from when you take a back step and you start to, I suppose, take inventory more than anything else, and you start to think to yourself, as you become more busier, and as you become more the key person of influence in your industry, right? I've found through observation is that as we become more of a thought leader or a specialist in our niche, and that's because we become more busy in our time, is that we forget where we come from in terms of our roots. And then we become less accessible, and we make it more difficult for others to connect with people. And again, we're in this arena of building human connection with people. Like, you've got to learn to build trust, right? And trust takes time. You have to learn how to build trust, but also, it takes time. It's going to take some time. They say roughly, in order to take a prospect that doesn't really know you, okay, it's going to take them about roughly 7 hours worth of content for them to really get to know you and feel like that they relate to you and connect with you. Does that make sense? And that might be the time when they will reach out to you and say, "Hey, I'd like for you to help me," if that makes sense, right? So I think that's really, really important. So that's step number 2. Step number 3 is, I always the night before, I do this the night before, but I do this the night before of 3 things I want to achieve during the day. Okay. And I don't do more than 3 to 5 things, purely because I believe it's not achievable, purely because, again, it depends on the length of the activities, but I believe if I want to achieve 3 particular things, it's much more achievable than writing down a big things to do list. Because as soon as I've completed that things to do list, all right, and guess what? That things to do list is then going to come from 1 page to 3 pages. Does that make sense? However, you can relate to this, but I don't believe in the whole kind of like my to-do list, right? I don't believe in that. I believe in actionable things that I need to achieve, right, by the end of the day, right? And there might be 2 things, there might be 3 things, but normally really, really important. Number 4, this is a really important part as well, is be present. And what I mean by that is making sure that you're only responding to emails a couple of times a day, making yourself saying no to things, right? This is really important, right? Don't be bending yourselves backwards to please others. All right. So if you have the mindset of, I need to be available for my clients and my customers all the time, no, absolutely not. I challenge that thought process, right? Why do you need to be available to your clients and customers 24/7? The answer to that is you don't. Okay. They don't expect a instant response from you. Okay. They don't expect you to like be super sharp. It's all in your mindset. Okay. And it all goes back to insecurity, doesn't it? If you feel insecure in your mind and you feel like if you don't respond within a set period of time, in your case, immediately, that you're going to lose them as a client or customer, that means that they don't appreciate you. Do you know what I mean? So, and normally when with my clients and customers, I say, give me up to 48 hours before you get a response from me. At least there's an expectation and there's a response. Unless obviously it's like super urgent, which is absolutely fine. But I try to make myself available by giving people access to my calendar. People can see when I'm available. That's convenient for me, but it's also convenient to them. So it kind of works both ways. Does that make sense? And I think that's really, really important. So the power of saying no. I actually remember, I remember working with a client many years ago. And in fact, she's now a good friend of mine and my accountant. And I remember when she was working for a big accountancy firm, and she just couldn't say no to it. She just couldn't say no. She just wanted to say yes. And what was really interesting about this is that she made herself ill purely because she would work, get up early, go to bed late type of thing, felt like she needed to be on call 24/7. But it was all in her mind. It was completely in her mind with regards to, having this kind of obligation, with regards to, she felt obliged to say yes. She didn't want others to feel bad, right? So she'd put others first before she put her own health. And I challenged that thought process, and she was like, I asked her, and I said to her, is this all worth it? Where's it going to take you? Like, if you said no to somebody or because you don't have capacity or whatever it is, like, what's the worst case scenario? She's like, well, and so it's kind of like weighing up those pros and cons. Does that make sense? This sounds like really easy, right? I totally get it. It's easier said than done. And the last one, which I believe is like extremely important, and I do this sometimes, which is allowing yourself time for space, right? So making sure that, you're not consistently working in the same environment, right? If you're in this kind of routine of, and routines are great sometimes, but then also they can lead to a lack in performance because you're all working in the same environment, you're around the same people. And really, for me, one of the things that I love to encourage a lot of my clients is to say, okay, well, rather than working from home, why don't you go find a quirky environment which isn't going to be too disturbing? Go find somewhere different. Do you know what I mean? Something that's going to bring your energy levels up. Something that's going to like exert creativity. And I feel like, and I go back to space as well, making sure that, you have enough space to allow you to think. Otherwise, if you don't have that time to think, you're going to feel like, sort of the world's against you type of thing. You need to be able to have that space to get that, to be able to concentrate, to be able to memorize, to be able to, just again, to create that clarity that's needed, if that makes sense. So, yes, and I hope that some of this sort of, I hope some of the tips that I'm giving you is resonating with you. And I hope that's really helping you guys to achieve some more clarity and focus, especially on the start of the day and whatever it is. So just in the summary, the first one is, developing some of those healthy habits. I mentioned the importance of writing out your own affirmations, reading and practicing those on a daily basis, and also I mentioned around journaling, great for building brand awareness. Whether it be practicing yoga or meditation, allowing yourself that kind of stuff. So develop those healthy habits that works for you. Okay. So what worked for me might not necessarily works for you, but it's got to work for you. Okay. Number 2, practice gratitude and appreciation. Right. And again, you may use this in a form of journaling if you wish to do so. But you know what? Actually, I challenge you guys. For those of you that work with clients and customers, right? I want you to be able to do. I'm going to challenge you actually for the next week or so. Okay, every day this week, Monday to Friday. Okay, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to reach out to 2 or 3 of your best clients and customers and tell them how much you appreciate them. And I can guarantee you, they will appreciate that. Like they really will appreciate that. And in fact, you could do this to clients or customers that you don't currently work with, or maybe have worked with in the past. Just say how much you appreciate them and why you appreciate them, right? Because again, it creates a seed, right? It creates a seed at the back of their mind. It's like, oh, you're thinking about me. That's so kind. So I challenge that, right? That's my challenge to you guys, right? Number 3 is set 3 achievable goals, 2 to 5 goals that you want to achieve during the day. Forget about the to-do list, okay? Because again, it's gonna create stress, and you don't need more stress in your life and overwhelm. Number 4, be present, okay? So the power of saying no. I've given a great story. I've shared a great story with a past client as well. Making sure that you're available, but also people respect you in terms of your time. Because again, if you start making yourself available 24/7, you feel like you've got that obligation, you're going to start to attract those types of people. And honestly, it's going to be, you're going to feel like you've got clients and customers that are like energy vampires, but actually it's the way that you have operated, or the way that you are operating right now. It's not conducive. It's not productive. And number 5, the importance of your environment and space, making sure that, you're right in the right kind of frame of mind. You've got the right space to be able to concentrate and focus, but also to be able to change your environment. Don't just be in the same office. Don't just be in, think about how you could, completely disrupt your day, right? So there might be one day this week where you think, you know what, I'm going to do something completely different, right? I'm going to go work here, or I'm going to go and be here, or I'm going to go and walk in nature, or whatever it is, something that you wouldn't normally do. Just do it, okay? I can guarantee you'll feel better at the end of it. So listen, I feel like I'm babbling on a little bit here, but if any of this resonates with you guys, love to hear from you. Especially if you listen to me live as well, use the hashtag live, use the hashtag replay. Love to hear from you guys with regard, if there's something else that you feel would be a good contribution as well to some of our listeners, again, use that as well. Now, for you guys that would like to achieve more focus and direction, one thing that we've created, in fact, it's more of a revamp more than anything else. But if you'd like to have more focus and direction with regards to your business, take the business growth quiz. Because I can guarantee you at the end of it, you'll be able to get an idea of which area of your business that you need to be able to focus on with regards to being able to grow and scale. Think of it, if you're walking around right now and you're sort of scratching your head thinking, where do I need to focus? Do I need to focus on leadership? Do I need to focus on marketing? Do I need to focus on branding, or whatever it is? But being able to have like a benchmark of saying, okay, well, yeah, okay, this makes complete sense. I'm only got like 20% out of 100 here. I can understand where I need to make some improvements to. So fill in the scorecard. It will give you a great free report as well at the end of it. And some great tips and advice. So here's the link at the bottom. For you guys that are listening in on the podcast, of course, feel free to fill in that scorecard, because I think that you're going to find it extremely useful more than anything else. So do that. I think you're going to enjoy that. For you guys that, for you guys that want to get with me more personally, of course, we also have our Telegram group as well. So feel free. I put the link below, and again, it's in the podcast notes as well. Join us over on Telegram for the latest tips. I've shared great advice on strategy, leadership, all of those great juicy topics. Telegram is a great place for being able to get more access to me as well. Anyway, listen, enough babbling from me. Hope you've enjoyed today's show. I thoroughly enjoyed spending a bit of time with you guys, and hopefully we'll see you on the Game Changers experience. And one other thing as well before we go. If you have enjoyed today's show, do me a favor, leave a 1 or a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify. I would be greatly appreciate that. And again, send me a screenshot. I'll make sure that you get a copy of my best-selling book, Play the Game. We've only got a few copies left, but if you'd like to get a free physical copy if you're in the UK, again, send me a screenshot of your review, and I'd be happy to do that. We'll pop one in the post. And if you're international, we'll make sure you send out a digital copy. Anyway, listen, have a great day, week, month, whenever you listen to this, and we'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.